plead innocent of all charges.
Talking Elvis, a new podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 20. This is the Talking Elvis podcast, and today we are live from the Loving Arms pub.
The first pub in England to be opened in the last 3 months. How wonderful we're here.
Yes, it's virtual. Yes, yes, we got the virtual boozer up and running again. I'm Vince Wright, and who's with me?
And I'm Ian Gray. Good afternoon, good evening, or wherever it is, or whenever it is you are listening to this podcast.
And this podcast coming to you live from the boozer is a very special one. I'm feeling a little bit hoarse here, a little bit dry.
I think I'll nip off and get us a couple of pints of tribute.
I think so.
You tell them what we're going to do.
All right, you get a couple of pints of tribute.
I'll get the drinks in.
Yeah, you look at that. Look at the barmaid, Grace. She's a lovely girl.
She's lovely. She's lovely. Okay. It's Bet Lynch's day off today, so we've got Graceland in to do the honours.
To do the honours. And what is the honours? This is our 20th episode. So this is our retrospective. This is our season finale. This is our let's take a butcher's at what we've done so far sort of episode. So what we're going to do is, if you're new to podcasting, this is a good place to hear about it, what we've done, what we plan on doing, who else is out there doing podcasts on Elvis as well. So we'll have a look at all that because they're all our friends in podcast land. How are you getting on there, Ian? You got a good head on it? It's not too
lovely.
big. Yeah,
That's fine. That's lovely. There we go. There's for you. There's yours. Okay.
On the beer mat. Thank you very much. Don't ruin the varnish. Thank you.
Right, yeah, there we go. Lovely couple of pints of tribute. Lovely.
Right, so young Ian, should we tell them how we started back in the day?
It was back in the day. The first episode actually went out on the 3rd of February, so we're into June now. So
Pre-lockdown.
we've had what? Yeah, pre-lockdown, and I don't believe we were even talking about the lockdown back then when we started talking. And we had a bit of a retrospective then, didn't we? In the very first episode, when we decided to look at all the old Elvis souvenirs and stuff that you could get over the years, that was actually quite fun. I really enjoyed doing that episode.
That was great, wasn't it? So we decided that this podcast, there's a million out there. There's a million podcasts around the world. Now, I looked up some figures because I didn't know how big a market this is. Right. So we want to play at the Elvis world. Now, we're looking at a little bit of world domination, but did you know, I found these figures from Ofcom,
right?
Around 7.1 million people in the UK listen to podcasts each week. And we haven't got 7.1 million listeners, right?
We got the 0.1, haven't we?
We only got the 0.1. Yeah, we've got the L in the middle of the million, right? But that is 1 in 8 people. Wow. And that is an increase of 24% over the last year. So, over this time of us doing them, the market of it is increasing. But it's still a bit alien to a lot of people, isn't it?
It seems to be, yeah. If you're a fan of Facebook, and I'm decreasingly becoming less of a fan of Facebook, there's so many people are just tuning into people singing on Facebook or playing records on Facebook, and I'm thinking, no, don't stop. Get away from your social media just for 5 minutes and just go and have it and listen to it. But that's the audience you're sort of faced with. You're sort of faced with the audience who's going to pick up their phone every 5 minutes and just scroll and see what people are having for the dinner.
It's so easy to get trapped into that world, isn't it?
Turn your phone off.
Yeah,
there's an off switch on the side of your phone or the top of your phone, whatever you're doing. And every now and then, just
have a break.
Yeah, have a break from social media. But I know to a certain degree what we're doing is social and it is media. But it's something you've got to switch the telly off for 5 minutes. You've got to switch the world off for 5 minutes, and actually, it's something you have to listen to, isn't it?
So, and isn't that great these days that we can? Because do you ever watch the telly live? I never do.
No, hardly.
And this is audio on demand. And I like the idea of podcasts because you can have a specific topic. We could be talking about beer mats of the 20th century. We could be talking about anything. And it's hopefully find that niche that you're interested in and join in. So we've got people out there doing Elvis podcasts, and they will tell you about the recording sessions, and they will tell you every catalog number. And I love all that. But
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing, is it?
No, we are Elvis fans talking about what things Elvis fans talk about. I think,
Because
anyway.
yeah, if you've entered the Elvis world and you've entered the world, if you've gone to the social side of Elvis, you've gone to events, conventions, discos, call it what you like, but you go there and you stand at the bar, because there's always a bar, and you talk to your mate and you talk utter tripe. And but you ask the questions.
Yeah.
You sit there, and by the end of the night, you're going, "Who'd win in a fight, Shelley Fabre or Joan O'Brien?" You know, these are the things. These are the things that happen, don't they? Or is it just us?
Yeah, we normally chuck in, and they're having these fights in a pool full of jelly, aren't we? So, so that may be just us.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much information there. I'm going to have to cut the last 15 minutes out, and we've only just started.
I think, given what the subjects you and myself have started talking about over the last 20 odd years, I think you need to cut the last 20 years out. Never mind the last 20 minutes.
Talk about the good times with Talking Elvis.
So what this podcast should be is our view of not being an expert, not claiming to know everything, but interested. So let's ask that question, but we'll put a little bit of effort in and do a bit of the research. So we're not going to tell you his shoe size. We're not going to tell you everything else, but we will go, I think this is better than that because, or I don't understand this, tell me why. And that's how hopefully we got through the show. So the first one was Tears for Souvenirs, and we looked at all that, and that was great because you'd got that brilliant book, hadn't you? Can't think what it's called now.
Yeah, the EPE catalogue.
Yeah,
which I bought for about a good sum of money. It was about £50 or £60. It's a very comprehensive book, inch and a half thick. And just excellent, And when you go to an Elvis do and there's a shop on, and you'll stand next to somebody and you're going through the same things or the different things, and they'll go, look at that, and they might just have a box full of pin badges, or they might just have a box of postcards or something like that. And that's exactly what we talked about in the first episode, wasn't it?
yeah.
Because it was Elvis fans talking about Elvis souvenirs.
So everything's in there.
And we've all done it. We've all done the exact same thing. So the conversation was there for you. And that should have got you thinking. That should have got you thinking, oh, yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah.
Or got you talking about the souvenirs that you already own as well. So, yeah, that brilliant.
And it's a different era thing, isn't it? Because you look at what they were doing in the 50s with the beanie hats and the plastic guitars, but by the time it was the 80s and it was us, it was the leather wristband, the rosette, and the really naff TCB chain that you just had to have. So this show, we talk about it. We want it to be fun, nostalgic, light-hearted, factual, but fun. It keeps coming back to the fun bit, doesn't it? So if you haven't heard this show before, stick with us now.
So, yeah, and we've got loads and loads to talk about, because when you go to an Elvis do, you don't sit there in silence, even though because you've seen your friend last week or the week before or the week before. You carry it, the conversation carries on, and that's essentially what it is.
And episode 2 really jumped on that, because episode 2, Don't Laugh at Me, it's called. Is Elvis relevant in 2020? Now, that I got my head bitten off on Facebook for saying that, because of course he's relevant. Of course he's relevant. But, we're not, Elvis is perfect. We don't want that world either. We want to say, Arum Scarum didn't deserve an Oscar, didn't get one, right? We're happy with that.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But is Elvis relevant today? And we look at it there, and we want, if you disagree with us, great, disagree away, but have a proper valid argument. Don't just bite my head off. And then I'm happy to listen all day long. But is he relevant? So in that one, we look at, is most people's view of Elvis these days the ETA?
Well, we did touch on that in that episode, didn't we?
Yeah.
And this is probably, I think we came to the conclusion that this is probably what the Elvis world in the main is going to be for the next 50 years, didn't we?
Yeah.
especially at the Graceland. We talked about going all the way to Memphis to go to Elvis Week and all this sort of stuff, and rather than have Elvis performing, which obviously you can't,
He's
you
not
you,
well.
you put on you put on impersonators or tribute artists, as you call them, and that's just seemed a little bit ironic to me. So much more to do and see around there and in Memphis itself, and that seemed a bit of a. So that's what we sort of touched on in that episode, wasn't it?
So I think it is. So things like I think you've mentioned on many of the shows, things like a little less conversation remix is
Hmm.
still massive at sporting events.
Yeah.
So in that way, that is a theme that's playing there because they wouldn't just play "Don't Be Cruel" in a
Yes.
million years, but that's a big current thing. So in that world, it works. If we look at now, what did we have? So close and yet so far, advertising crisps recently.
We did
So
indeed. Yeah.
so that even since the show we've been doing, there's a few things that you think, oh, hang on, is he, isn't he? So hopefully take a listen to that one and let us know again whether you think we were right or we were wrong.
And it just goes to show how we've developed this podcast over the last 3 months, 4 months as well. It's that second episode was only 25 minutes long,
Yes.
and now we're starting to go. We're touching over the hour now. It's because we we're just finding it more interesting, aren't we? The more we
Yeah.
delve into it for our own benefits as well. We're saying things to each other via this podcast that we haven't said before.
Yes.
And it's getting you thinking, which is the object of a podcast, is two people talking and actually getting you thinking about what's going on in the world, not just the Elvis ones.
Oh
But
yeah. No.
other ones you can do as well. It gets you thinking, so that's why we encourage people to get out there and listen to it, and not just be droned basically by
Yeah.
the social media accounts.
I've got another good figure here. 22% of people who own a smart speaker
Mhm.
listen to podcasts.
Okay, right, and they're pretty
Yeah,
popular.
and they're popping up
Smart speakers,
everywhere, and everybody's
yeah.
going, Alexa, what day is it, and things like that. So it's out there. You, if you're listening to this, have already listened, but we're going to be preaching to the non-converted.
Yeah, tell your friends that
Yeah.
there's a rather good podcast going on right here.
Or there's a terrible one. Tell them that if you don't like it. Right?
Yeah, yeah, tell
Let
them,
them have a listen, and then we'll
and,
tell
and,
you why.
and then they can tell us their opinions and how bad ours are. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't mind that at all. We're up for a shall we say, a healthy discussion anytime.
It is, and that's what it should be about. It isn't right or wrong. It's an opinion, and it's
Mhm.
what it is. But we think we back our argument up. Now, this was interesting because after episode 2,
Yeah,
we went on the
international.
road, didn't we?
We
went
did.
into
We went in. Yeah, we did. We went international, and I'll tell you what. I've been told you. I listened to a few episodes prior to this broadcast, and these ones where we went to Denmark to see Henrik Knudsen was just put an absolute smile on my face just listening to his stories all over again. That was great fun.
This is Henrik Knudsen from the Memphis Mansion in Randers, Denmark, and you are listening to the Talking Elvis podcast.
It was amazing to think that in sunny Denmark there is a copy of Graceland. There is a mansion. There is
Yeah.
a Memphis mansion,
Yeah.
and episodes. What was it?
It was
Three,
episodes
three
three
and
and
four.
Yeah, 3 and 4
Three and
went out
four
from 19 to
was
20.
our yeah, and I think it had we not got lockdown in place now, I'm sure we'd have visited several of the places by now over the last couple of months.
Probably, yeah. We would have done a few live
Because that was really the beginning of On Tour, to be honest.
yeah, it really was.
But this. So we've got to this mansion, and if you're thinking of going, definitely listen to this episode because we do our whole tour from having a pint at Stansted to landing in the dark.
Yeah, we really did, and then the following morning we got to sit down with Henrik, and this is I did something really daft here when we were doing the recording, when we were sitting down just having a chat with Henrik in the diner, the Highway 51 diner. It made sure that we got drinks on the table and stuff like this, and halfway through it you can hear me filling up my coffee cup.
Yes you can.
and then about 30 seconds later you doing the same thing, and I thought, oh god.
And that must have been like our
Very
sixth.
unprofessional.
It was our sixth coffee that morning, wasn't it? So we
Something
were
like that.
quite buzzing, weren't we?
We were, yeah. It kept us going for the next 24 hours, didn't it?
It really did. But that was just the upstairs. Then we went round the museum,
Yeah.
and you see stuff there that I was going to say stuff you've dreamed of, stuff you've never even thought of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you're going, why have I never thought about the puppets from GI Blues? Why have I never thought about what the tape of $1 Million Quartet actually looked like?
Yeah, and when we saw those things, we had to look at each other it was like a comedy double take on more than one occasion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I said, really? Is that what we think it is? You know, is that a tape from those sessions? Is that the puppets? Is that a blonde wig we see before us?
Yeah.
All this sort of thing. We go, really? And it's all authentic stuff, and we're like, for our own value, we were discovering new things together, like in that situation, and it was just like, wow, why aren't people packing this place out from the UK? It cost us like 45 quid return to get there.
Yeah.
Come on,
the B&B was walk. Well, what was it? $5, 500 kroner taxi. 5 or 10 quid, was it?
It was about 10 or 15 quid for a taxi.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can drive there if you like, if that's your thing. But we decided we were going to have a drink, so we were quite happy to pay that.
Surprise. Oh yeah, if you're new to this podcast, that's a bit of a theme. And on that thought, I suppose I better get this round in.
Yeah, go on, off you go.
You tell the nice people what happened next.
Got a question? Email Vince at talkingelvis.co.uk.
Yeah, so while he's off at the bar, so go and have a listen to Our House, which are episodes 3 and 4 of the Talking Elvis podcast. That's where we decided we were going to interview this guy who did the Memphis Mansion. And moving on from there, we were due in April, of course, to have the big screen performance of the Elvis That's the Way It Is to celebrate the 50th anniversary of its release and whatnot. So we had a chat about that, and we decided we were going to watch both movies, the old movie the original from 1970, and then the remade version from a few years ago. So we both watched that and had a little bit of a conflab about that. And then we've got people in as well to listen to this podcast and to talk to us on the podcasts. And we got David English in, who was an author of the Follow That Dream books that you get to go.
Oh,
with,
yes.
To go with the CDs and stuff. Have you got my drink in yet?
Yes, and to quote the two Ronnies, "You're nuts, my lord."
Thank you very much. Last little snack. Right, yeah. So you had a chat with David English, and he came on the show, didn't he?
Yeah. So we did that, and this was good because he's putting out the new Follow That Dream book. And at the time, we all thought it was going to be a 3 CD set. And he kept dropping hints. Oh, there'll be more than that, there'll be more than that, there'll be more than that. And I think this was one of the most listened to episodes, and especially for some reason, bizarrely, on YouTube. This one really took off. Always been happy with the service there. So apart from the book, we've got three CDs.
Possibly more.
Off the record.
Yeah.
All right. You heard that here first, folks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more than that. Well, I know there is, but I can't.
Yeah. And have you been involved in the choice of that?
I can't
or
actually.
Is that,
I can't put it.
No.
Yes. Well, basically, I went to Ernst Jorgensen's house.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And we sort of discussed what we were going to include with the book. And then he sort of goes away and gets the tapes and sends them to get mastered, and then I get an audio file, and then so that I can correspond that to what I'm working on. But at the same time, we can work out if there's anything missing from those tapes. So there's going to be stuff on there. Well, I know there is because I've heard it of material that's not been officially released.
Good.
And B, not released at all. So the combination of the two.
Am I going to be blown away? without giving too much away.
You won't have heard it before, so I don't want to oversell it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be selling it. Maybe I should.
Yeah, that's
maybe
it.
I
It's
should.
going to be amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
And I've seen a mock-up of what this thing will look like, and it just looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to invest something near £100.
Yeah, I'm going to say you've got to look at it. So it's a ton, whichever way you look at it.
But it looks amazing, and it's going to be a one-off, and you'll never get anything like it again. So,
yeah. And if nothing else, it'll stop the draft under your front door.
Oh yeah, so we've had people associated with international releases on the show as well, which is good.
Yeah. So that's the way it is. We should have had the cinema release. We watched them both. So we it was quite interesting to see the old one again, wasn't it? Because I'd only watched the special edition the last few times.
Yeah.
So to have all I got to say it, the creepy fans in the footage was really quite nice. What makes me a bona fide fan and all that was really interesting.
It was brilliant to watch, actually. I'm just looking at my I'm actually just looking at my notes now, because I use the same book for everything for this thing, and it's like Ugly Doll in the background with the fans whose cat listens to Elvis.
Yeah, Tinkerbell's been to the gates.
So we talked about all about that. We talked about the tandem that Elvis rode around the lot at MGM in California.
I rode it in Leicester.
Ending up back in Luxembourg at the thing there as well. And you told the story about Ian Bailey acquiring the tandem as well.
Yes.
I
rode it about 2 yards. Yeah.
And I think I said something like, "What was the point of Millie Kirkham?" as well during this episode.
Yes, that
upset a few people as well.
That really went down well, didn't it? So with that's the way it is. We follow that dream with the book, and then we've had other authors on as well. We had Matt Shepherd with the stories behind the songs.
Hi, this is Matt Shepherd, the author of Elvis Presley Stories Behind the Song. And like you, I'm delighted to be listening to Vince and Ian on Talking Elvis, the podcast.
Yeah.
And he's he's a good guy again, because he's a fan, he's a DJ, he's a musician, he's an author now, but he's a fan, and you can tell.
Absolutely, and that came over really, really well, and he was so full of enthusiasm as well for it, wasn't it? And it was just the sort of guy. We'll go back to the bar here. The sort of guy we're going to get in the loving arms here with us, and just chat Elvis for hours and hours, and that's the sort of guy he was, and that was great to have him on the show. Didn't he say he was thinking about doing a podcast of his own as well?
Yeah, so he'd been doing bits. That's all out there as well. So have a listen. All the addresses are on that episode if you need to find anything else about that. So with books, and then we looked in episode 7. We looked at the fan club magazines. So we had a look at they'd all just dropped through the letterbox pretty much that week. So we compared the fan club, Managed Music, and Essential. And have a listen to that, see what you think, whether you sign up for them or not. See what's a good read. I've just had a Managed Music through this week. You have as well, haven't you?
Yeah, likewise. I've on the strength of that podcast, I decided I was going to take the plunge and sign up as well. So I've had my first magazine through now, which I'm really pleased about, actually.
So it's nice to see what's happening in the world there, and look back at the old days of when all we had was Elvis Monthly.
Absolutely.
Telling you my cat dreamt of Elvis.
You know what? I might even take up their offer of buying some back issues you can buy for quite a good price, isn't it? So.
So this is kind of a balance of some guests on the show who have been famous for whatever reason. We had didn't I have a drop of the lurgy or something? I'd lost my voice.
Yes.
Episode 6, we dug out an interview from our radio days, from our Cam FM show. And we've got Victoria Page Meyerink, who is, Elvis fans out there, who is she? I can hear you all shout. Yes, your time hasn't come yet, baby. That's the girl in Speedway. So we had a nice old interview with her that I put out that week because I couldn't talk.
at some point when I was about 7.5, casting directors called and producers called and said they want Victoria for Speedway. And that's how I got Speedway and got the pleasure of knowing Elvis.
And we've still got some of those in the can we haven't used yet, haven't we, for future episodes?
We have indeed, and they'll, we'll put them out when we think is appropriate. When we need a break from whatever we're doing at the time, and all splendid stuff. Plus new interviews as well. We got one or two people lined up. So
did I ever mention I've met Annette Day? Have I ever mentioned that to you?
You haven't done so for about 35 minutes. It's probably a new record.
Yeah. Yes. So we ought to put that one up as well. That was a bit of an amazing day. So we'll look at those. So the guest stars have been quite nice. We had a really good guest star. Somebody from our history, from our wicked youth.
Oh yeah,
right?
Neil.
Yeah. So we did an episode 8 was Murder on the Dance Floor, which was talking about the Elvis discos. And of course, then on number 12, we had Play That Funky Music. We had Nutty Neil Williams, one of the Nutty brothers.
That was fantastic, wasn't it? Because it was the opportunity for the three of us to get together all at the same time, wasn't it?
We haven't done that in years, have we?
And that was brilliant. It was like we just left off the day before, hadn't we? It was a brilliant interview, and Neil was fantastic. He was on good form. Talking about the history of what we used to do, talking about Elvis in general.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable as well, and just good fun, and we were just bouncing off each other like as per, wasn't we? So it was good. It was a lovely episode to do. That was a great incident chat with
So
him.
if you've done any of the Elvis events in Britain, you'll know who he is.
Absolutely, yeah. Go and listen. So have a listen back to episode 12. That was 12th of April with Neil Williams. That was brilliant. The three of us just shooting the breeze, really, weren't we?
Yeah, but it was like I was swapping bootlegs with him in the early 80s. We were duplicating VHS videos off each other and all sorts in those days. So we go way back. It's a shame we sort of have lost touch.
And then I had a phone call from Joy Ridgway. She was the branch leader for the branch in Dudley, and I DJ'd for Joy for many years. It was me and Mike Coyle in Birmingham. We had Dave Richards up in London. We had Ellen Tipton. I can't remember where she was. Bromsgrove, I think she was. And we had Brian in West Brom. Was that many Elvis fan clubs and discos around? You could go to one literally every week. It was just everywhere they were.
Who are the other fans we've had? Oh, g'day.
We had Jacqueline Felice from Australia. She joined us for a chat, and that was really good fun as well. Because if you don't know who she is the King is her moniker, and she's a performer. She sings Elvis songs. She's a fan. She dresses up in bona fide proper Bill Billou Elvis suits, and she's from Australia. She's performed at Graceland as well. And she just loves her music. She loves the history of music as well. She knows her thing. She knows her stuff really, really well. And that was a fascinating chat with her. And it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure actually to talk to, because we talked to her 7 or 8 years ago for the radio as well.
Well, that's it, because you come across her somehow. I don't think how you found her. I don't know what Google search that was, but it must have been. But she was lovely, and she talked to us. And if you listen to the interview here, we're honest with her. We talk about ETAs. What do we think of them? What's the tribute? What's the and in there she's very genuine. She has an opinion, and we love her for it. And I think that's also one of these things that we haven't mentioned. From day one, we came up with these 5 or 6 questions that we asked people to find out about you. Yes. And she was willing to answer all of those. And it led to, it's just such an icebreaker. It's brilliant.
Well, I was 7 in 1977. And
same as me.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. I'm feeling terribly old here.
And I just thought, I walked. First of all, I heard it on the radio in the morning, but I didn't believe it. I thought I must have heard it wrong. Then I walked into primary school, and my best friend came running up to me, and she was frantic and said, have you heard Elvis died? And I said, you're lying. You are lying to me. And why would anyone ever do that? And then later on, as the day unfolded, I discovered that was true. And then I had to get picked up because I was a wreck. And for 3 days, I just locked myself in my bedroom.
The conversation just flowed from there. It was brilliant. So really enjoyed that one. So Jacqueline Felicia, look her up. She'stheking.com.
She's the
very,
king.
very, very good fun. And that was nice to have her on.
I think the thing that I've learned most from doing this sort of season of the podcast is the Elvis world. When we've done discos, when we've done radio, when we've done local branches, when we've done all sorts, there's been a lot of get off my manor. It's my turf. You don't do this. We're better than you are. And I honestly can say that the podcast world, when we were just two kids playing at it, just absorbed us, didn't they?
They did, and we've actually appeared on other podcasts in the meantime as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
And when people invite you onto theirs to ask you various things and just to have a chat about various things, that is absolutely lovely, and it's nice to return the compliment as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So episode 11, we had the lovely Jamie Kay from the Jungle Rooms.
We did indeed, and she was fascinating as well. That's another great podcast to listen to, by the way. The Jungle Room is. I've been listening to that for over a year now,
and we got her on the show. So there's a complete one. Our episode 11 is her telling her story. So if you want to listen to her podcast, great. Have a listen to this first. Get to find out who she is. She's done Facebook Live. She's done the YouTube channel. We were on, what day were we on? Saturday night, wasn't it?
Last Saturday just gone, yeah.
We recorded one Saturday night, which has just gone live there. So I love this world of podcasts that you do your own thing. Everybody promotes each other because we all play jingles like this.
Hi guys, this is Jamie Kay from the Jungle Room podcast, and you're listening to Vince Wright and Ian Gray on the Talking Elvis podcast.
And she actually invited us onto her Jungle Room podcast as we put out episode 1, didn't we? Yeah. We actually went onto her podcast so she could promote us in the podcasting world. So she gave us a bit of a leg up very early, way back in February. She invited us on and said, "Right, tell me what you're doing with your new podcast," and we've been forever grateful for that. We've probably nicked one or two of her listeners, or from her due to that. But we've been on since with her as well. We've also been on with Justin and Gurdip for the TCB cast, which was a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes or something like that.
Oh yeah. He's one of those just keep talking again, isn't it?
Took over their show for a little while, so that was also good fun. And look out for them, by the way. They're gonna be coming on to us at some points in the next season.
I'm Justin Gosman.
And I'm Gurdeep Ladar from the TCB cast.
And you're listening to the Talking Elvis podcast. It's a hot time in Florida.
Rainy night in Georgia.
There we go. Okay.
Absolutely, and we do it for them, they do it for us. It's all good fun. And actually, when I was listening to Jamie's final show on the season she just finished 3 weeks ago or something like that, and her and Mike were talking. Her and Mike Ford, the co-host, were talking, and he said that Facebook Live that the four of us did on that Saturday night. I can't remember that was probably back in about March or April, something like that. He said that was his favourite episode of the Jungle Room podcast of that season.
It's just fun, isn't it?
That we did all together, the four of us. It was just great.
I think we're going to dabble with the Facebook Live and things, because
we
want to convert you to come and have a look at this. Not this isn't a money spinner. This isn't your main job or anything. This is just the passion of share stories. Let me hear about them.
And we've decided that we also quite like doing the top fives, don't we?
Well, that suddenly became a thing, didn't it?
All of a sudden we've developed into it, haven't we?
So we did. What was the first one of those?
The first one was
number 9. Man, I feel like a woman.
Yeah,
the top female co-stars. When was that then? Number 9.
That number 9 was 30th of March, so only a couple of months ago. So
Number
Number 9.
So
Yeah,
we did.
we did that joke on the day as well.
Yeah, we're very shallow. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. This first one we did. What are the top 5 female co-stars?
Yeah.
And you can look at it as who's the hottest, who's the funniest, who's whatever, and we sort of threw all our facts into the pot,
Yeah.
and we come up with a nice little mix. And I think for doing the top 5s for me is, if I was just down the pub and you said, "Who's your favourite?" you just go bang, because you
Yes.
always say that one. But when
Yes.
you have this little bit of time and go, she's a lot higher in my ranking than the other one, but I can't believe it. So the format of our 5s are very good. If you go back to those, it is what it says on the tin. It's the top 5 of those, but we all will always have a handful of also rans and near misses.
Oh yeah, it was never a case, was it, of just choosing 5 each and getting on with it. We said, and also the ones who didn't make it into the top 5 for this reason or that reason, and we described that, don't we? And
we'll argue the toss of why she didn't win. So then we went on to The Boys Are Back in Town on episode 13 and did the top 5 male co-stars.
That was good fun as well, because that gave us the opportunity to look at the history of Walter Matthau.
Yeah,
or the history of Bill Bixby, or and stuff like that, didn't it? And that was really fascinating as well.
And it's a weird thing that struck me the most about this is when you look at the male co-stars, I suppose that
giving you an opportunity to think about it and look at a bit more extra information you never thought was there. We're reading the book,
old
so
film,
you
can't you?
Mm.
You watch an old film on TCM or something, and you're going, look at him.
Yeah.
He was the one who held the donkey in the, and he was the one who opened the door, who raced the car, and you get that big build up. I mean, the biggest shock for me was how many people in the top 5 women co-stars and male co-stars has been in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
There was quite a lot, wasn't there? And Star Trek.
Yeah, this is just the wonderful thing about. So top 5s are always worth a listen. We then moved on, and we done the top male, female. We did a double whammy. We did top 5 kids and top 5 animals in the films. But there was a bit of a controversy in that episode.
There was a bit of controversy, yes, indeed, and I wouldn't say we almost fell out about it, but there was definitely a bit of chuntering going on after that, wasn't there?
It's not big and it's not clever, and I'm
and you're not ever going to let me forget it either. That's the thing.
No, yeah,
because it's out there now. It's been recorded, so it's out there.
Yeah. Somebody will quote us. Listen to this.
The opening scenes of Love Me Tender.
Oh, yeah.
Third Horse from the Left.
Yeah.
Had his own television series between 1961 and 1966, and it's Mr. Ed.
No way. A horse is a horse, of course.
Indeed, yes. Now, Mr. Ed.
Wilbur.
Yeah, see, Mr. Ed's family has got a bit of history here, because they were film actors.
No way.
Yes. No, seriously. The uncle of Mr. Ed, right? So this is like a bloodline thing with horses and whatnot. The uncle of Mr. Ed played the part of another horse, which ran against Elizabeth Taylor's horse in the Grand National in National Velvet from 1944. There you go. So go back to episode 15. And episode 15 was simply called Take 5, and that was on the 5th of May. So go and have a look. You can listen to the full episode of that and see how that develops. That was it was quite funny. So yeah, go back to episode 15 and hear us having a bit of a shall we say, I was taking liberties. That's what it was.
Yeah, liberty with the truth. They used to call it lying through your teeth. Yeah. Well, top 5s, we did top 5 60s movies.
Oh my goodness!
And that was interesting, because it's very easy to dismiss a lot of them, but to actually rank was quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. As the movies was good. We decided to leave out the 50s because automatically you're going to go to King Creole or Jailhouse Rock or something like that, aren't you? So we decided to give the other ones a chance, and that also gave me an opportunity to look at movies which I ordinarily wouldn't have given a second thought of, And then when it came to narrowing it down to the top 5, I thought I had to leave out what I thought were a couple of dead ringers for the top 5, and that surprised me.
Yeah.
So you probably had the same problem as well.
It is. So, if you're going to listen to these shows, have a look at the title, see what they are, get your opinion first, and then yell at your speakers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then tell us on Facebook, why did you miss Dolores Heart Out? Why did you miss? And we'll tell you. Well, we'll have told you in the show.
Yeah.
You can't have everything, but see whether you agree, and if you don't agree, why are we so wrong? Or if you do agree, yay us.
Yeah, because people were talking on Facebook when we were talking about the favorite top 5 movies. People were just saying, well, they were putting Viva Las Vegas, they were putting whatever Roustabout, they were putting but they weren't actually listening to the show. They were just putting their opinion out on Facebook.
Yeah,
and we're trying to take you away from that, folks, just for an hour here and there.
Yeah, that's it. This show comes out, and they all come out on different days. We usually put one out Monday night, Tuesday morning. So it's out once a week.
Yeah.
You can listen to it anytime you want. You can listen to it in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You can have it in the car. You can have it while you're jogging. You can have it while you're sitting in the paddling pool with a hot dog in the garden, like Homer Simpson. You can do what you like. And the top 5s we really got into. So we did those. So then we did the Elvis movie songs. Now, I think that one really shook me up because
that was hard work.
Again, the 50s was leaning, it's too much rock and roll. I love it. I didn't touch the 50s in the end. And that was hard. But it's good again. And when you look at this, what is it what's a good song from a movie, or is it what's a good movie song? And we were doing the thing on the radio just this week and looking at Smorgasbord and thinking, on paper that's shocking, but it really worked, didn't it?
It really was a nice when we first entertained the idea of going for the top 5 movie songs or favourites, or what we thought was a good one, whatever. We thought, this will be $1. We'll pick out easy 5. My first draft started at 41. So when you think you've got to sort of try and narrow it down to that from 41 to 5, that was really hard going. And again, there were songs that would never made it into the top 5, or even the top 10 when I made the third cut. It was just like, my goodness, we've done a bit here. And again, like I said to you on the radio show, with a song like Smorgasbord, you look at the title of the song on a piece of paper in a book, and you dismiss it straight away. But then you go and have a listen back to it, and you think, well, actually, that's quite entertaining. I like that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we found, wasn't it? When we started listening.
It is that argument all the way through, isn't it? Because yoga is as yoga does. He's again a shocker. But to fit in the story, you can't really argue, can you?
No.
So it's depending what you're voting on. Yeah. It's probably not going to be the next thing they do a remix of, but as it stood, it was really good.
So that was really interesting. That was, and to get it down to top 5. And again, people said, "Oh yeah, I like Jailhouse Rock." And you think, well, you're not really thinking about this. You've got to go I'm not telling you to go and watch all the movies in one go, but you can easily pick out 10 songs from 30 movies, and at the very least, and have a think about it, and then join the conversation. So you do something different, and that's exactly what we did on that thing. And like I said, 1 or 2 belters didn't actually get close, which is. Try it yourself. You see how difficult it is.
Right. A great philosopher once said, don't be bashful, buy a ticket. Get the habit. Never kick it.
It's Elvis time. Every Wednesday on Cam FM, you can listen to Elvis in Cambridge with myself, Ian Gray, and his self, Vince Wright. We're on at 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. USA East Coast time, and 9 a.m. Alaskan time. You can also get us 24 hours a day via the catch-up service on www.camfm.co.uk. But whatever time it is that you're listening, you can guarantee one thing. it's Elvis time.
Which then leads us to last week's show. Dun, dun, dun.
Top 5 Elvis television moments, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that was great as well. Again,
that one was one of my favourites.
Again, it wasn't just a case of watching Elvis 56 and making your mind up from there, because you go onto YouTube and go to other sources, and there's a ton of material out there to have a look at, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that.
And trying to narrow down, you know, is Elvis more important on the Sinatra show than the Dorsey, or was Milton Berle that? And those were great ones. So we don't in that one. It's TV moments. It's not 68 Special's the best. I love it because when you say that, then you've missed the point.
Yes.
Because it's going, well, which part of it?
Mm.
You know, which part of Aloha? Which part of In Concert?
Yeah.
Have a listen.
Exactly, and break it down. There's so many great moments, you know, and you get to watch some great stuff. I mean, I didn't realize that half of the Milton Berle stuff was there, and I really enjoyed watching that and just seeing how easy Elvis was with Milton Berle and stuff like that. And
I think this is nice with those TV shows, is you always just get the 2 minutes of Hound Dog or whatever it is.
Yes, indeed.
But you want to see this, you know, I like the whole thing with the Dorsey show of going, how cheesy was this show that you're watching the June Tyler dancers, you're watching some kid playing with his organ. It's a lot better than it sounds. And then Elvis comes on, and you're sitting there with your mom and dad, and you're 11, and you're sitting around the telly that's like, you know, as big as an envelope, and that's all you can say. And then Elvis comes on, and you saw it for real first time. That would have been amazing.
That would have been something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We've like I said, when you watch these documentaries that we've all seen, you know, from The Searcher to Elvis 56 or whatever, we just see the highlights, don't we? We don't see the other bits of Elvis stuff. We just see him performing Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, that type of thing. So that was really good to get at. So again, we're giving you the inspiration, I hope.
Well,
to get out and watch this. Yeah.
You know, because I want you to disagree or agree, rather than just tick a box and go, "That's a nice picture you've made there."
Yeah.
You know, there is a mass market out there who love Photoshop pictures of Elvis in a sari next to a unicorn with a big rainbow, and if that's what you want, then go nuts. But that ain't for me. But tell me why I should look at it.
Absolutely. If you've got an argument, to do that, then tell us. We'll take it. We'll take it, and we'll tell you back what we think. That's
I think
conversation.
A little more conversation with TalkingElvis.co.uk.
We've covered all the episodes there, really, haven't we? So that was then. This is now.
Yeah.
What's the future for Talking Elvis, the podcast, dear listener? Do we carry on? Do we jack it in? Are we doing it for ourselves? Well, yeah, we always have been. That's just the ego. But what do you want? What can we do to make it better? We don't want to be the same as everybody else, because you'd listen to them. You don't need to listen to it twice. I don't want to have the same guest on that somebody had last week. I know I might ask different questions, but let's if they had them then, I might have them in a year's time. But what is there that's different? I don't want, where we spoke here, we don't want to be on Facebook all day, every day, because we have a life. Yeah. So we want to do that bit. So we're happy to interact, but get on the show, get at the topics. What's the next top 5 we should do? Because we think we've basically run out, haven't we?
I think so. I would be hard pressed to do anything else top 5-ish now, but I'm sure something will come into the hood. But this is why we encourage people to listen, because if you want to talk about it, then tell us, and we might well get more top 5s out of it. You never know.
So I think the things we know are going to happen is that's the end of season 1, as was.
Yes.
We're going to do a Facebook Live. Are we going to commit to that now?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are definitely going to do it in the next few days, whenever that.
Yeah, so 16th of June we were talking about, weren't we? At
We
one
were,
point.
yes, indeed, we were indeed. That's correct.
Yeah,
You are
so
correct.
we'll
Yes.
try and get that. But because so many people are doing their little online record hops and everything, we don't want to clash. We don't want to be, you must come to us. But don't forget, even if you don't do the live bit, you can look at it after.
Absolutely, you can, and it's there once you've done it, and once you've broadcast it, it is there. So you can scroll back, you can listen to it. If you want us to interview anybody as well, if you fancy talking to somebody, get your questions in. You tell us what you want us to ask them. It could be anybody you think is relevant, or even if you just want to come on and talk to us as well. We're absolutely up for that, because it's getting people involved in a conversation, and I think that's what we're here for. I vote for let's carry on and let's do this.
Well, I think you've convinced me. So we are episode 20 here.
Shall we seal the deal here? I'll go and get a pint. It's my round, so I'll go and get one.
Actually, it's your round. Let's go and get a couple of drops of special.
So we'll seal the deal with that one. There you go. Off you go. Go on. You tell them what you want.
Get a couple of shots.
And I'll go and get the drinks then. Go on.
Okay, so we carry on with the show. We're really thankful for all the guests who have come on. We want more. We want more topics. We want to know what you think. We want interaction. Just come on down. The price is right. Just talk Elvis. If we're talking Elvis, we're keeping the name alive. It's got to be better than just a cheesy image of Elvis. He's a musician. He's a producer. He's an actor. He's everything else. I'm not saying he's the best in the world, and I'm happy to say that Aram Scaram's rubbish. But let's talk about it. We have to be talking Elvis.
Let's talk about the good times.
Talk about the good times with Talking Elvis.
Did you notice, dear listener, as I went through all the shows, they all had a name. Right?
Nobody's picked up on that. Nobody's told us.
Nobody's picked up on this at all. But every episode we've given a name, and a lot of people will call it an Elvis song or an Elvis theme. We didn't, because we love the world of music generally. You know, we're massive Elvis fans, but we will be listening to everything from B.B. King to Sting to Patsy Cline to Gary Newman, right? So we're across the board. So we have named each episode a title of a song that we thought was relevant. And if you want to hear all of these songs, there is a Talking Elvis on Spotify called The Episodes. So have a dig down at that, and you'll hear everything from Ken Dodd to Madness to Dave Brubeck. You know, it's a great little run of that.
Yeah,
nothing to do with Elvis.
Yeah, we've got the jam on there, haven't we? And Thin Lizzy and all this sort of stuff as well, which is great stuff, really good stuff.
It makes a damn good little playlist. So I think we're happy with that.
Yeah, wonderful. If you have been, by the way, thank you very much for interacting with us and talking to us both on social media and by the personal messages you've sent to us over the last 3 or 4 months. It's been great actually having people along for the ride, and people who we know are listening. So if you've been a silent listener all this time, then please do get in touch. We like to know you're there, and we'll from time to time, we may even give you a name check. Who knows?
Excellent. Yes, we just got to remember to write them down before we do the show. So
we're not perfect, folks, but we aim to please.
Yes, and we are out there in sunny lockdown. So please stay safe. Please listen to your advice. Please listen to podcasts. Please listen to Elvis.
Find us at www.talkingelvis.co.uk or Facebook or YouTube or Spotify. In fact, any place you get your podcasts.